14108161 Finance Budget Director.
So Director of Rural Communication and the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services recommending the elimination of 2 cemetery positions and the creation of 2 new cemetery positions.
Okay, Director Mobeck, before we hear from you, I want to say to our audience here, we're so glad that you're here. Welcome. But what we're going to do, we do not have any public comments. However, we will allow for the alderpersons or chairman of the, is there anyone from the cemetery board here? Do you have any representative from the cemetery board? Okay, we'll allow you 3 minutes. Okay, let's hear from you first.
James Feeney, F-I-E-N-E. I've been on the cemetery commission about 6 months.
Okay.
You have the proposal from Tom. And one of the issues that we've had that you're well aware of is the cemeteries are not making money. They're losing money. They're depending on the city to fund them. One of the efforts that we've been after is to try to make the cemeteries more self-sustaining. And Tom thinks that with the proposal that he's making, the efficiencies that he's proposing can help do that. He's been responsible for the cemeteries about a year, Tom?
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years. I, for one, am supporting his proposal in an effort to try to stop the flow of money out of the city and help the cemetery raise more of its own funds.
Okay. Director Mobeck.
Right. Thank you. Good evening. As you know, over the last few years, or probably more than that, department heads have been asked continuously to look at ways to be more efficient in running their departments, not just immediate divisions, but across the board. This past summer, with the cemeteries, we started to do that with the idea that we started off with asking for requests for proposals on contracting out not only the ground maintenance, burials, ice and snow removal, but also the management as well. When those came in, those weren't very favorable for what we were looking for, so we went ahead and submitted proposals without the management part. We just asked for proposals from ground maintenance, burials, snow and ice removal. And as of December 2nd, that was approved by council, and that's where we're at right now. So where I'm at here is we're looking at other ways to be more efficient, and we're looking at the office area. Currently, what we have right now is a full-time cemetery supervisor for both Mound and Graceland. That person basically oversees all operations, and that includes all the maintenance, all the burials, all the ice and snow removal, all the scheduling of when funeral procession will be, making sure that the contract has the grave site prepared. With all that, that individual also oversees the selling of graves, the marketing of the cemetery, creating promotional ideas, doing paperwork, deeds, permits, what have you, dealing with all of the funeral directors that we do have in the city of Racine. So that's kind of currently what that position does now. There are a lot of other little things that we don't see behind the scenes, but for the gist of it, that's what that position does. We also have a part-time position that's clerk typist 2, which works about 25 hours a week. That person assists the supervisor of the cemetery and helping out with office paperwork, helping with permits, deeds, scheduling things, and as of late started to help a little bit with some of the selling of the graves when needed, when the supervisor wasn't there. So that's kind of where we're at now. What I'm proposing is that those 2 positions be eliminated, but create 2 new positions. One position would be so I don't get it wrong. It's a labor supervisor 1, cemetery and park maintenance operations. What this person will do is be more specifically overseeing the maintenance, ground maintenance, burials, snow and ice removal. Basically be dealing with the new contract company that we do have now in place, and be more efficient with ground maintenance and everything. So it's more specific to one area as opposed to the whole picture. That person also, where it says park maintenance, will also be responsible for some park responsibilities outside of the 2 cemeteries. Now, those will be things that we'll look at down the road, because we're still going to look at areas during the year where there might be downtimes where that person can help out during the course of the year with park operations. Those will be discussed because this position will be directly underneath our park superintendent. The other position that we're going to recommend creating is a cemetery office manager. The cemetery office manager will be a part-time position, 35 hours a week. That person will now be responsible for basically the inside maintenance or inside management of the cemeteries, where that would be the selling of graves, marketing the cemeteries, and also creating promotional package deals for whatever we decide to do as a committee and as a department. That person also will be responsible for dealing with the scheduling of grave or scheduling of funeral processions, and also dealing with the funeral home directors. So what we're looking at is creating 2 jobs out of basically 1, and allowing 2 individuals to be more specific in their jobs, where we believe that down the road will be more efficient. So with that, I'm sure there's some questions. I do have some other information that I think I'll be able to answer some of the questions that you might have. But I open up for anything.
Okay. Questions? Questions? Alderman Cole.
I guess my question is, how is this saving money if we're eliminating 1 position and creating 2? What are the salary structure going to be?
I do have that, and I think it was emailed to each one of you individually.
Okay.
I do have a copy of that. I don't necessarily believe it's an issue of savings on our department's part. It's more on how more efficient we can be with running of the cemetery. If you look at the finances that was given to you, it shows an increase in salary, but we believe that because we're going to be more specific in the areas that they're going to be responsible for, that revenue will be at a higher rate in the future. So that's why the savings I'm not too concerned with. It's how we're going to run the office and how efficient we're going to be.
And I guess one other question. How to put it? We're eliminating a position. Why can't we just keep a position and hire that other position?
I guess I'm not.
Well, you have a person there right now, and could you keep that person and split, and then hire a second person to do the other duties? That's my question.
We'd have to look at that. I don't know what position that would be right now. What I'm presenting to you is what I feel is the most accurate, most, I think, way to go about doing it at this point. But to add another position would be, I think that you're asking for 3 positions.
No, I wasn't asking for 3 positions. You have 1 person there, right? Well, you have 2 persons right now.
Correct.
But keep one of the positions and change the other part-time position. That's not.
So to increase just the part-time person? Increase in their
Yeah,
responsibilities?
just-
You could do that, but you're still gonna keep the current cemetery supervisor position overseeing everything, where this one will be more specific and I think more detailed.
And you just can't split the duties on that old position. Just some questions there.
Well, I still think you'd be creating a new position, because you'd be taking things away from one individual and separating it. But we're looking at also having this position help out with the parks department and the division part, not just the cemetery. So then it would be taking something else away that we thought would be a plus by creating this new position.
I get, won't get into it, but just a question of, why is it being done this way? And you made your point on it. I guess I wasn't at any of the cemetery board meetings. I guess I would like to hear from Alderman Widener what their take on this thing is also, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. So, but,
Wait, Vice Chairman, please. Vice Chairman.
All right, thanks. So, tell me this question, maybe following on the Jeff's, or maybe asking a different way. How will you fill these two new positions? Are there current candidates in mind? Is it open to anybody the same as any other opening in the city? Is it going beyond existing employees, or?
My understanding is the labor supervisor one position would be open to the public. So anybody could apply. Currently, Steve could apply for this. The current clerk typist could apply for this. A current employee of the city could apply for this, or someone from the outside. I'm not sure on the take on the cemetery manager.
It's the same. It's a well-rep position to be created, so anybody can apply for it.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Widener, Alderman Hart. Alderman Widener.
Well, thank you. The Cemetery Commission does support, at least in the big picture, some changes being made at the cemetery. For a long time, we have been pushing for more self-sufficiency, especially now that there's no longer a maintenance fund that we can rely on that has been used to operate the cemetery over the years that I've been on the cemetery board. And as you all may know, each year, when we budget for the cemetery, more and more dollars are coming off the property tax that used to come from the maintenance fund. So we do support some changes so that the cemetery can become more self-sufficient. We do believe that there has to be more marketing done in the cemetery. There has to be more involvement of the cemetery staff, whether they're supervisor or office managers, in selling headstones. As you may or may not know, we have a new section in Graceland Cemetery that is there for the cremation area, where we, the Cemetery Commission, been pushing for over a year to sell packages. So there are added responsibilities for the positions there. The biggest concern that I have that is not addressed in these position changes is that the hours of operation have long been an issue with the cemetery board, and I don't believe that the two positions as proposed really address those concerns. But in theory, I know the Cemetery Commission does support that some changes be made. So. The other thing I would like to add is we do have here tonight some former Cemetery Commission members that have served long and well that probably have their opinions, knowing the intricacies of the cemetery, that I would like for them to have an opportunity to convey their thoughts to the Finance Committee. They may not be willing to come to a council meeting and speak there, but they may be willing to speak here, and I'd like them to have that opportunity if the chairman would allow it.
Well, we're looking for the current members of the cemetery board. Who's looking for them? To speak. Any current members of the cemetery board?
Well, I would like to respond to that. A couple of current cemetery commission members were told unless they're going to come here to object, there really wasn't a reason for them to come.
I don't know who gave them that information, but nevertheless.
I guess I'd like to make a motion that we allow a couple of the members to speak. I'd like to hear some more things from this. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Well, one thing about it, and the public need to know this also, is that it's not noticed to have public comments. Okay, it's not on the agenda. However, we will hear from all the persons and members of the cemetery board, current members of the cemetery board. Now, if the board so desire, the finance committee would like to do that, to change it, but there cannot be any public comments. Now, the next meeting of the Common Council will be January 20th, and I would encourage every person that have comments or concerns to make sure that they appear there, and I strongly recommend that you come and speak your opinion. So, that, you have a question?
I got a question for Tom. Tom, is marketing going to be part of this new supervisor job?
The cemetery office manager position will be, yes.
And is there enough time for a new supervisor to also do some work in the Parks Department besides what he has to do with the cemetery as your job in the cemetery?
I believe how I stated it before is that we would have to wait to see throughout the course of the year what kind of time would be available for that. There's nothing strictly set up structurally to have that happen at this point, but we think that down the road there will be, and that we would use that wisely.
And another thing, let me get that. Now, let's say that Steve can apply for this supervisor job, cemetery supervisor job, right?
Correct.
Now, let's say that he is not selected for the job, does he qualify for his retirement now? Do you know that or not?
That would be an HR question.
Thank you.
Vice Chairman?
If the city attorney thinks it's appropriate, I wouldn't mind hearing from a couple of the ex-cemetery commission members, if it's within the rules that we're allowed to do at this point.
Well, you could suspend the rules within whatever limited scope you desire to do so.
Would we be in any violation of any kind of open meeting law or not having posted this if we were to do this?
No.
No? Okay.
Because that's former board members. Just make that
Limited.
clear. Former,
Okay. I'd like to move to suspend the rules to hear from former board members who are willing to say anything at our meeting.
second. Is it properly seconded on the motion? On the motion? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Any further questions or concerns? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. So ordered. Okay, we got any former cemetery board members that like to speak? You got 3 minutes. Yes, sir. Name?
My name is Jerry Root. I was on the Cemetery Commission for approximately 2 years. I think I've been off for about a year now. I was before this gentleman, sir. Huh?
Your address, please?
2315 Illinois Street, 53405. I was just, you guys stole kind of my thunder. I was going to ask some questions, but I was going to ask Tom, are you folks saying that Steve's not efficient? It seems to me that I'm getting that kind of a reading from what you've said here.
Excuse me, we can't deal with personnel issues. I'm not saying he's good or bad, but.
Oh, I see.
We
Okay.
got to deal with positions, not
Okay.
individuals.
Okay, then I'm out of order. But I was going to ask the questions that you
Yeah,
guys.
no, we're dealing with positions, not personnel.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
My name is Dale Slosted, 1723 Shoup Street. I was on the cemetery board for approximately 8 years. I've been off for 3, 5? Is it that long? No. Anyway, I've spent a lot of time while I was on the board at the cemetery, observing what Steve was doing back then, and I've stopped and visited a few times with him now, and he's been very busy. I don't see him sitting around drinking coffee. In fact, I've brought coffee and rolls there, and he hasn't had time to have them. You notice he's losing weight. He can't eat the rolls I bring you. He doesn't have time. And I don't see where he's going to be able to do all this, or that position is going to be able to maintain the cemeteries as they're being maintained, make any improvements that need to be made, plus work in the Parks Department, hold out of the cemetery and go watch somebody cut grass or whatever they've got in mind. It just doesn't make sense to me. I've seen him work, and I've seen the operation there, and it's a full-time job into itself.
Thank you very much. Any other former board members? Any other former board members? I'd just like to say, too, that I did get a DVD from Mr. Bettner. Excellent. Well done. Very professional, and I'm going to make sure the scouts get a chance to see that. Good job. Thank you. Any other questions and/or concerns? Any other questions and/or concerns? Hearing none, a motion is in order.
I move the permission be granted to Director of Park Recreation and Cultural Service to eliminate 2 cemetery positions and create 2 new ones.
Second. Moved and properly seconded. On the motion, questions, concerns? Questions, concerns, questions, concerns? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. No. Motion passes.